Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling something I think, well, everyone struggles with at some point. Procrastination, laziness, that feeling like your potential is just stuck. If that sounds familiar, you're in the right place. We're going deep into some Zen wisdom today, pulling from a source about the mind-blowing Zen secret to overcoming laziness. Our mission: to get past the usual advice and find some genuinely counterintuitive ideas from this really simple ancient story, ideas that actually work.
Yeah, and I think before we even jump into the story itself, the most critical piece from this Zen view is how it reframes the whole problem.
Yeah.
We tend to think of laziness as, a moral failing, something to be ashamed of.
All right, like it's a character flaw.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But this wisdom says, hold on, what if laziness isn't you failing? What if it's just a challenge, like a hurdle you need to figure out how to jump over? It shifts it from self-blame to strategy, which is honestly a much more productive place to start.
Okay, that's a big shift already. From shame to strategy. I like that. So let's unpack the story from our source. It starts in a small village, right? And now there's a huge mountain nearby. And in this village, there's a young man who's basically famous for doing nothing, just napping, daydreaming, peak idleness. Then one day, this wise old monk comes along, finds our lazy guy, and gives him a task. Simple, or so it seems. Climb the mountain, get a single feather from the top, and the young man predictably just scoffs. Says something like, "Me, climb that, no way, I'm way too lazy, it's impossible." Classic excuse.
Right. And this is where it gets interesting. The monk clearly knew that a normal request wouldn't work.
Yeah.
He needed something different, a hook.
Yeah.
So he adds this one crucial, intriguing detail. He tells the young man the feather isn't actually on the summit itself.
Oh, where is it then?
It's hidden on the other side of the mountain. In a cave you can only get to by climbing all the way up and then, crucially, descending the opposite way. An unknown path. The young man had never heard of anything like this, the feather, the cave on the other side. It was just so weird, so unique, it completely bypassed his usual lazy defenses. It sparked his curiosity.
It wasn't just a chore anymore, it was a mystery.
Exactly.
A puzzle.
And that detail feels like the first big takeaway here. The source really hammers this. The goal you set has to have something ambitious or unique about it. Enough to cut through that default feeling of, I don't want to. If it's just file these papers or do the laundry, laziness probably wins. But make it sound novel, maybe even a bit impossible. That creates a hook.
Okay, but hang on, let me push back on that a little. Most of the stuff we procrastinate on is mundane, right? Like cleaning the garage, doing taxes. How do you make that ambitious or unique?
That's a really fair question. It's not about finding a literal magic feather for every chore. It's about how you frame the ambition or the uniqueness. So for a dull task, maybe the ambition is the standard you set, like finishing your entire tax return in one single focused session. For someone who usually avoids it, that feels like climbing a mountain.
Okay, so the other side of the mountain is just completing it perfectly or faster than ever before.
Or maybe making the process unique. Clean the garage, fine. But the unique part is dedicating that newly cleared space immediately to starting that cool project you've been dreaming about. The feather wasn't the real reward, you see. It was just the catalyst, the trigger.
Got it. The perceived challenge and novelty kickstart the action, even if the task itself isn't inherently thrilling. Okay, so back to the story. Fueled by pure curiosity now, the young man starts climbing. And, well, reality bites. The source says he's immediately out of breath, sweating buckets. It's just a long, hard slog. Misery.
Yep. And you'd think, okay, here's where he gives up. The moment it gets tough. But something else happens. As he keeps pushing, climbing higher, this weird mental shift starts. Despite the physical exhaustion, he begins to feel, well, this sense of exhilaration, excitement even, something totally new to him.
Really? While he's struggling up a mountain.
Yeah. And when he finally drags himself to the summit, he's not just exhausted, he's totally elated. That incredible view, knowing he earned it through sheer effort, it brought this overwhelming sense of accomplishment. It was like the physical pain was the entry fee for this incredible internal feeling of pride. And the pride was just bigger, stronger.
Wow. So the very act of conquering something difficult shocked him out of his old self-image. But wait, the story isn't over just because he reached the top, is it?
Not at all. The real test is actually coming right up.
He still needs to get that feather, which means descending the other side. And the source describes this path as even worse than the climb up. Treacherous, unknown, he's stumbling, falling constantly. It sounds painful and demoralizing.
And that descent, it's such a perfect metaphor for the middle part of any big project, isn't it? You've had that initial win, that summit high, but now you're just grinding through setbacks.
Falling over and over again.
Right. But he keeps going. driven by the promise of this strange feather. He gets scraped up, bruised, but he pushes through until he finds the cave. And sure enough, there's the feather, just like the monk said.
Okay, feather acquired, mission accomplished.
Technically, yes. But now he hits the real wall, the true crucible, like you said.
Yeah.
He's got the feather. But he looks back up at the mountain he just came down and realizes he has to climb back up it to get home.
Oh, man. Exhausted, probably injured.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the source says right there, he seriously considers just giving up, staying in the cave. It felt impossible.
So what happens? How does he get past that?
This is the absolute key moment. He does push himself to keep going, but his motivation is totally different now. It's not about the feather anymore. That's just, a feather.
So what's driving him?
It's the memory of that feeling, that sense of accomplishment and pride he felt when he reached the summit the first time.
The remembered success.
Yes. Knowing he'd done it once was the proof he needed. Proof that he had the strength, the determination to do it again. The mountain was the same, but he was different. He discovered something inside himself. That self-discovery was the thing that finally, permanently, broke the spell of his laziness.
And when he finally gets back, weary but changed, the monk basically spells it out for him. The real prize wasn't the feather, it was the strength he found during the struggle. The monk confirms, laziness isn't who you are, it's just a challenge. And facing that challenge, especially an ambitious one, reveals this hidden resilience.
Exactly. And if we zoom out, the principle here is pretty clear, I think. When you genuinely push yourself towards goals that feel almost impossible, you tap into this inner strength, this resilience you honestly never knew you had. Laziness kind of feeds on the assumption that you're weak or incapable. Once you break that assumption with real evidence, you gain control.
That's a powerful idea delivered through a simple story. Okay, so let's pivot to making this practical. If we want to actually use this wisdom to move past our own inertia, what are the concrete habits or strategies the sources point to? We pulled out 4 key things for a kind of toolkit.
Right. The first one comes straight from how the story started. You have to challenge yourself. Set ambitious goals and, crucially, frame them in a way that sparks that curiosity or sense of novelty we talked about.
So not just do the thing, but do the thing in a way that feels like a worthy challenge.
Precisely. If the goal feels too easy, too mundane, too logical, it just won't generate that internal drive, that exhilaration needed to push through the discomfort. It won't feel like climbing to the other side of the mountain.
Okay, make the goal ambitious and intriguing. What's number 2?
Number 2 comes directly from that treacherous descent. Perseverance. You have to accept up front that you will stumble, you'll fall, you'll have setbacks.
Like breaking your new habit streak after 3 days?
Exactly like that. That stumbling on the path down. Perseverance isn't about somehow achieving perfect, uninterrupted progress. It's about remembering the summit, remembering you can do hard things, and choosing to get back up immediately after you fall. It's about normalizing the stumble.
Okay, ambitious goals, perseverance through stumbles. What's third?
Third is about making it stick. Structure and consistency. Overcoming laziness isn't usually about one single heroic effort. It's about building the daily muscle. The mountain climb, even though it was one event, it had a path, a sort of routine to it. For us, this means building discipline through consistent habits and routines.
And the source mentions setting a schedule and sticking to it, right? Even when you don't feel like it.
Yes, especially then. Motivation comes and goes. It's unreliable. Discipline, that schedule, that's like your climbing rope. It keeps you moving upward even when your feelings are telling you to slide back down. It ensures consistency.
Makes sense. Ambitious goals, perseverance, daily structure. What's the fourth piece?
The fourth is maybe the most internal, but possibly the most powerful. And it really comes from learning the right lesson, from falling down on that descent. It's cultivating a growth mindset.
All right, explain that a bit more.
When the young man fell, he didn't just lie there thinking, see, I'm clumsy, I knew I couldn't do this. He implicitly used the fall as information, like, okay, that rock is loose, or need to step more carefully here. A growth mindset means you actively choose to see challenges, failures, stumbles, all the painful bits, not as proof you should quit, but as opportunities. Opportunities to learn, adapt, and get better.
So failure isn't an endpoint, it's just data.
Exactly. The source calls it a catalyst for improvement and progress. If you're tackling something genuinely ambitious, failure is basically guaranteed early on. The growth mindset lets you see that failure as, okay, this approach didn't work, let me try another. Instead of, see, I'm a failure. It changes the entire narrative.
That reframing seems critical.
It really is. Ultimately, this whole Zen perspective boils down to shifting from being passive,
Yeah.
from defending your comfort zone to actively engaging with challenges. It's about being willing to start the climb, even knowing it'll be hard, because the goal feels worthy of the effort.
Wow. Okay, this has been incredibly insightful. A really different way to think about laziness, not as a character flaw, but as a hurdle. And the way over it involves ambitious goals that spark curiosity, sheer perseverance fueled by past wins, consistent daily structure, and a mindset that treats failure as feedback.
Yeah, and think about it. The biggest thing the young man learned wasn't a shortcut to fetching feathers. It was the stunning realization of what he was actually capable of. He found strength, resilience, determination he never knew he possessed, all hidden under layers of just not trying. The feather was almost irrelevant in the end. The self-discovery, that was everything.
So let's leave everyone with this final thought to consider. If the real reward for tackling these mountains in our lives isn't the external goal, but the discovery of our own inner strength, what challenge are you avoiding right now? What task feels like an impossible mountain, but might just hold a symbolic feather on the other side, waiting to spark that sense of exhilaration and show you what you're truly made of? Maybe it's time to find that mountain and just start climbing.